Welcome to this lesson on expressing opinions in business meetings. In today's session, we will explore both formal and informal ways to share your views, ask for input from colleagues, and respond to opinions during professional discussions. Whether you are chairing a boardroom meeting or chatting with teammates over coffee, knowing the right language to use makes a big difference. By the end of this lesson, you will have a toolkit of phrases and strategies that will help you communicate your ideas clearly and confidently in any business setting. So let us get started. So why does expressing opinions matter in a business context? There are 4 key reasons. First, opinions drive decision-making. Teams depend on hearing different viewpoints before they can make well-informed choices. Second, sharing opinions openly builds collaboration. It creates an atmosphere of trust where everyone feels valued. Third, when people voice fresh perspectives, it sparks innovation and leads to creative solutions. And fourth, using the right tone and phrasing shows professionalism. It reflects your awareness of workplace dynamics and helps others take your ideas seriously. The important thing to remember is that the key lies in knowing when to be formal and when you can afford to be more direct. That is exactly what we are going to explore in this lesson. In business communication, we generally operate in 2 registers or 2 levels of formality. The first is formal or careful language. This is what you use when speaking with your manager, presenting to senior leadership, or attending official meetings. Formal language tends to be indirect and diplomatic. It shows respect for the other person's position and gives you time to think before responding. It also helps you soften any disagreement gracefully. The second register is informal or direct language. This is what you use when talking with peers, close colleagues, or teammates you know well. Informal language is straightforward and honest. It shows familiarity and comfort, gets to the point quickly, and expresses opinions with conviction. Understanding when to use each register is essential for effective communication. Let us now look at the specific phrases for each. Now let us look at the specific phrases you can use to ask for opinions in a formal setting. The first phrase is, "What is your reaction to that?" This is great to use after someone has just presented an idea and you want to invite another person to respond. Next, we have, "How do you feel about that?" This asks someone to share their considered response. Then there is, "Could you please share your thoughts on that?" This is a very polite, open-ended invitation. Another useful phrase is, "What is your view on this?" This directly asks for a reasoned opinion on the topic. You can also say, "What are your feelings on this?" This gently prompts someone who has not spoken yet. And finally, "What would you like to add?" This encourages someone to contribute additional input. Notice that in all of these phrases you typically include the person's name. This makes the invitation personal and direct, while still maintaining a formal and respectful tone. Now let us look at the formal phrases you can use to give your own opinion. The first one is, "I tend to feel that." This softens your opinion and signals to others that you are open to hearing different views. Next is, "Well, from my point of view." This positions your opinion as personal rather than absolute. It also buys you a little time to think. Then there is, "It seems to me that." This is a very diplomatic way to introduce a viewpoint, especially when you might disagree with others. Another useful phrase is, "I have the impression that." This suggests your opinion is based on observation and reasoning. You can also say, "Don't you think that?" This is an interesting one because it gently shares your stance while inviting the other person to agree. And finally, "May I come in here?" This is a polite way to interject when someone else is speaking. It asks for permission before you offer your opinion. These phrases are powerful tools. They help you sound professional, thoughtful, and respectful, even when you disagree. Let us now see how these formal phrases work in a real meeting scenario. Imagine a company called Technova, a multinational technology firm. Priya, a vice president, is chairing a meeting with 3 engineers, Arun, David, and Rahul. They are discussing the launch timeline for a new mobile application. Priya begins by saying, "So let us move on to the topic of the launch date. When do you think we will be ready to go live?" Arun, notice how she transitions the topic formally and then invites Arun by name. Arun responds, "Well, I tend to feel that we should be able to begin beta testing by mid-April. If testing goes smoothly, we could aim for a full launch in late May or June." He uses the phrase "I tend to feel," which softens his opinion. Priya then says, "I see. Thank you, Arun. What is your reaction to that, Rahul? She is formally inviting Rahul to respond. Rahul says, late May or June. Well, from my point of view, that sounds reasonable. He uses from my point of view another careful phrasing. Then David interjects. Excuse me. May I come in here? It seems to me that May is far too optimistic. David politely asks for permission before sharing his disagreement. He uses it seems to me to soften what is actually a strong objection. Let us now analyze the formal language techniques we saw in that scenario. The first technique is naming the person directly. When Priya says, when do you think we will be ready? Arun? She uses his name with a rising intonation. This is a very common and effective way to invite someone's opinion in a formal meeting without being too aggressive. The second technique is hedging with phrases like I tend to feel. When Arun says I tend to feel that we should be able to begin beta testing by mid-April, he is signaling openness and humility. This phrase also buys him time to organize his thoughts before committing to a position. The third technique is requesting reactions. When Priya asks, what is your reaction to that, Rahul? She is inviting a considered response, not just simple agreement. This keeps the discussion inclusive and ensures everyone has a voice. The fourth technique is polite interruption. When David says, may I come in here? He asks for permission before speaking. This is especially important when you disagree with colleagues, as it shows respect for the person who was speaking. These are all very practical techniques that you can start using immediately in your own meetings. Now let us shift gears and look at informal phrases for asking opinions. These are the phrases you would use when chatting with close colleagues or teammates in a relaxed setting. The first phrase is, what did you think? This is perfect after a shared experience, like a presentation, an event, or even a project review. Next is, how about you? This is a simple way to redirect the conversation to someone else after you have shared your own view. Then there is, what do you reckon? This is a casual, friendly way to ask for an opinion. It is very common among close colleagues. Another option is, any thoughts on that? This opens the floor without targeting anyone specific. And finally, so what is your take? This asks for a quick, candid opinion on whatever topic is being discussed. Notice the difference in tone from the formal phrases. These are shorter, more relaxed, and feel more conversational. You would not use these with your CEO in a board meeting, but they are perfect for the break room or a team huddle. Now let us look at the informal phrases for giving opinions. These are confident, direct, and get straight to the point. The first is, the way I see it. This is a great way to share your personal perspective with conviction. For example, the way I see it, we need to rethink our approach. Next is, the point is. This cuts through the noise and highlights the core issue directly. Then there is, obviously. You use this when you believe something is clear or self-evident. Be careful with this one though, because if overused, it can sound dismissive. Another useful phrase is, basically. This helps you simplify and summarize your view before going into more detail. Then we have, actually. This is perfect for introducing a surprising or contrasting opinion. When someone says actually, listeners know that something unexpected is coming. And finally, if you ask me, this offers your personal take in a casual, friendly manner. These phrases are all about being clear and confident. They show that you know what you think, and you're not afraid to say it, which is exactly the right tone for informal conversations with colleagues. Now let us see how informal language works in practice. Right after the formal meeting at Technova, Arun, David and Rahul head to the break room. Their boss Priya is not present, so the conversation becomes much more relaxed. Rahul starts casually. Hey, did you both catch the cricket highlights last night? What did you think, Arun? Some incredible batting, right? Notice he uses the informal phrase, what did you think? Arun responds with humor. You always have to rub it in, do you not, Rahul? You know my team lost badly. Here, rub it in is an idiom that means to deliberately remind someone of something uncomfortable or embarrassing. In this case, it is used as a friendly joke between colleagues. Rahul then turns to David. How about you, David? This is another informal way to ask for an opinion. David replies, actually, that was one of the most exciting matches I have seen in a long time. But the way you two keep telling Priya, we can finish the app by May, none of us are going to have time to watch any more cricket. We will all be working overtime every night, burning the midnight oil. Notice David starts with actually introducing a surprising opinion. He then uses the sentence pattern the way you keep telling, which means if you continue doing this, then a consequence will follow. And he ends with the idiom burning the midnight oil, which means working late into the night. Let us review some key vocabulary and idioms from this lesson. First, launch or go live means to release a product to the market. For example, we plan to go live in June. A release date is the scheduled date when a product becomes available to customers. Bugs are errors or problems found in software. The team is always working to fix critical bugs before a launch. An update module is a component that keeps the software current and up to date. Next, we have two important idioms. Rub it in means to deliberately remind someone of something unpleasant. For example, if a colleague lost a deal and someone keeps mentioning it, they are rubbing it in. Burn the midnight oil means to work very late into the night. The expression comes from the old days when people literally had to burn oil lamps to work after dark. And overtime means working beyond normal business hours. These words and idioms are commonly used in both formal and informal business conversations, so learning them will help you sound natural and fluent. There is one very useful sentence pattern that came up in the informal dialogue, and it is worth learning on its own. The pattern is the way plus someone does something plus the consequence or result. Let me give you 3 examples. First, the way you keep postponing the review, we will never finalize the report on time. This means, if you continue delaying the review, the report will not be finished by the deadline. Second, the way the market is shifting, we will need to adapt our strategy very quickly. This means, because the market is changing rapidly, a fast strategy update is necessary. Third, the way she handles client complaints, she will be promoted in no time. This means, because she manages complaints so well, a promotion is very likely for her. This pattern is incredibly versatile. You can use it to warn, predict, or comment on any ongoing behavior and its likely outcome. It works in both positive and negative contexts, and it sounds very natural in everyday business English. Now it is time to practice. Let us start with asking for opinions using formal phrases. Imagine you are leading a meeting at your company. For each prompt, try to form a question using the formal phrases we have learned. Prompt 1. Meera, the new marketing campaign. A good response would be, could you please share your thoughts on the new marketing campaign, Meera? Prompt 2. Rajiv, quarterly sales performance. You could say, Rajiv, what is your view on the quarterly sales performance? Prompt 3. Sneha, the employee retention issue. A possible answer. Sneha, what are your feelings on the employee retention issue? Try this exercise on your own. Pause the video if you need time. The key is to practice using different formal phrases each time so that they become natural to you. Now let us practice giving opinions. For each scenario, use the indicated register, either formal or informal, to respond. Scenario 1 is formal. Do you think we should release the product this month? A sample response. I tend to think we should wait. Do you not think that is a little early? Notice the use of I tend to think and the softened question. Scenario 2 is also formal. What do you think of the competitor's new offering? A sample response. Well, I have the impression that it is a strong product, but we can match it. Here I have the impression introduces the opinion diplomatically. Scenario 3 is informal. What should we do to increase engagement? A sample response. The way I see it, we should focus on social media and content marketing. Direct, confident, and to the point. Remember, your answers do not have to match these examples exactly. The goal is to practice using the phrases naturally. Try creating your own responses and say them out loud. Here is a quick reference summary of everything we have covered. This table organizes all the phrases by purpose and register. For asking opinions, formal phrases include, what is your reaction to that? Could you share your thoughts? And what is your view on this? Informal alternatives include, what did you think? How about you? And what is your take? For giving opinions, formal phrases include, I tend to feel that, from my point of view, and it seems to me that. Informal alternatives include, the way I see it, basically, and the point is, for interrupting, the formal approach is, may I come in here? Or I wonder if I could add something. The informal way is to simply say, actually, or hang on, let me jump in. And for useful sentence patterns, formal options include, do you not think that? And I have the impression that. Informally, you can use the way you do something, followed by the result, or simply, obviously. Keep this table handy as a reference whenever you prepare for a meeting. Before we wrap up, here are 5 practical tips for choosing the right register in real situations. Tip 1. Know your audience. If you are speaking to your CEO or a senior client, use formal phrases. If you are chatting with a teammate over lunch, you can go informal. Tip 2. Read the room. If the tone of the meeting is relaxed and conversational, you can be more direct. But if it is a structured performance review or a board presentation, stay careful and diplomatic. Tip 3. Match the stakes. High-stakes topics like budget cuts, layoffs, or major strategic decisions call for diplomatic language, even among peers. Tip 4. Use hedging to buy time. Phrases like "I tend to feel" or "it seems to me" are not just about being polite. They also give you a moment to pause and organize your thoughts before committing to a position. Tip 5. Practice switching registers. The best communicators can shift seamlessly between formal and informal, depending on the context. Make a conscious effort to practice both styles so that switching becomes natural for you. Here is a study strategy to help you internalize everything from this lesson. First, write opinion questions on topics you enjoy. It could be sports, technology, films, current events, anything that excites you. Writing 5 to 10 questions gives you plenty of practice material. Second, practice answering them aloud. Do not just think the answers. Say them out loud using the formal and informal phrases from this lesson. Hearing yourself speak builds muscle memory and helps the phrases become natural. Third, role play with a partner. Take turns being the chairperson who asks for opinions and the team member who gives them. Switch between formal and informal registers each round. Fourth, substitute different phrases each time. If you used "I tend to feel" in one round, switch to "it seems to me" in the next. This builds flexibility and fluency, which is exactly what you need for real meetings. Consistent practice is the secret to mastering these phrases. Even 10 minutes a day will make a noticeable difference. That brings us to the end of this lesson on expressing opinions in business meetings. Let us quickly recap what we covered. We explored formal phrases for asking opinions, like "What is your reaction to that?" and "Could you share your thoughts?" We learned formal phrases for giving opinions, like "I tend to feel that from my point of view," and "it seems to me that." We then moved to informal phrases for asking opinions, like "What did you think?" and "How about you?" And informal phrases for giving opinions, like "The way I see it," basically. And the point is, we also covered key vocabulary and idioms such as launch, bugs, rub it in, and burn the midnight oil. And we practiced the useful sentence pattern, the way you do something, followed by the result. In our next lesson, we will be looking at ways to agree and disagree in meetings and discussions. Until then, keep practicing and keep expressing your ideas with confidence. Thank you for watching.